Jerusalem, where we dropped father and the two ladies, about 840 meters above sea level, and we are going down to minus 400.
Wow.
Okay, we are descending now 1,200 meters. I don't know if you've noticed, and we may have missed it, but then again we'll see tomorrow. There are green tiles on the side of the rocks that shows you the meter where we came, and I'll say we'll stop tomorrow where the camel is. This is sea point, sea level, which means that area levels up with the Mediterranean.
Wow.
From there down, look here, look to the left, and shortly you will see those green tiles giving you the number. We are now minus 150 meters below sea level. Now I think that 3 feet, or roughly 3 feet, is 1 meter. So 150 meters would be times 3, 450 feet. Okay. You'll have to help me with math. Family. Yeah, but there were 12 tribes, but there were 24 families of priests. Families, yeah, out of the Levites. Yes, now you can see, look, we have come down to the valley of Jericho. Look at Jericho to your left. Jericho is the biggest oasis. We will enter tomorrow. We will climb up by cable car to Mount of Temptation. Our lunch is going to be at Temptation restaurant. Everything is about temptation in Jericho. And you can see, look at the palms. Jericho is also known as the palm. And look at the area. This is all done by the kibbutzim around here, the Jewish dwelling area, outside Jericho. Jericho has its own agricultural fields. That is because there are lots of natural springs here. Look, those are vineyards, right to the left, palm, and then there's a lot of other things, not everything I recognize. Plus, a colleague of mine is a tour guide who lives in a kibbutz here, and he explained to me that more or less every year, if possible, they flood the land to try and get a little bit of the saltiness out, because it's very salty. We're very close, and you can see the shiny thing is not a meter down, another 300 feet, and we'll be driving along the road, which is the longest road in Israel, road number 90. Going from down south a lot up north to Kiryat Shmona.
The tribes intermarry, do they get along with each other? And also, why is it called the Dead Sea?
Okay, you've asked two of the big subject we're going to talk about. So I'll biblically speaking, this was the area of Moab. And you're going to be bathing in these waters a little bit later this afternoon. I will tell you everything about the palm tree tomorrow, because there will be a little bit of information also when we get to the gallery. So leave the palm tree for tomorrow. 10, 15, up to 15 years, it's very, very dangerous. And in a minute you'll understand how dangerous it can get. Now what's happened here, this is the only place where the cliffs are so close to the water. Soon as we keep on going south, you'll see more dry land. What happened is we are short in water. There's the winters are not rainy enough. Plus, we are minus 400 meters below sea level, and the evaporation here is quite rapid. So the sea, the Dead Sea, is the water is evaporating. But dwelling areas that are placed on the edge of those plates are bound to feel the movement in what we know as earthquakes. Okay? Now, what has happened is like this, and then you'll have to look at my hands because my demonstration again try to do the right way. This is the rift. My folded fingers is actually the Golan Heights that you will see when we drive tomorrow when we end up in Tiberias, right? This was the movement. Thousands of years later, and it's not overnight, it's a process, the movement goes sideways. Ahava. You know what that means in Hebrew? It means love. It's love for nature. Now, it's, yeah, the products of Ahava are always and everywhere the most expensive ones. They're considered to be the best, but they are the most expensive. They're leading, and it's a great thing that since they've established this, they keep a very high wow. It's just amazing. Also the white stuff that you see on the edge of the shore, this is salt. When you go down to the water later, and we're going to the southern part of the lake. I mean the northern part, southern is down there. And that's the only place where you have mud. Now, I don't know if some of you did buy the mud, but I mentioned it at the movie, all the cream. Here, you just grab it out of the floor and you just rub your body and just stay with it for a little while. Then you go back in the water, and when you get in the water, you feel the water is like somebody put oil in it. And then you get back to your hotel and you get a good hot shower or bath, and it's just, it does wonders, really. And now I'm really being honest, I'm not joking with you and everything. It's really fun. It's great. And you know what? I've stayed, lately I had a lot of Asian groups, and one day out of the group they always stay in one of the hotels in the Dead Sea. That's why people laugh when I say I'm going to work. And we go to the spa there. I tried one of the pools, and you know what? It didn't feel the same, and I meant to ask how come the water in the Dead Sea, when you go in and you come out, let yourself dry before you rinse yourself with fresh water, and then touch the skin and you feel like you're rubbing, you can actually feel you see sometimes mounds of salt, but the salt is used for industry, not for the household. And there is another factory that processes fertilizer for the land. So, yeah, there's really a lot here. You have a lot of, especially Europeans, because European, a road stop, we can get coffee, a soft drink. The building is upside down.
Oh my God.
On the right hand side, we have Ein Gedi here to the right. This overprotects a beautiful mosaic floor of a 5th century synagogue, 5th century AD synagogue. The community that lived in Ein Gedi was a wealthy community. Even today there's a kibbutz. Those of you who decides to come here again and maybe do it sort of privately, if you get a chance to take overnight or 2 nights by the Dead Sea, take the kibbutz lodging. The whole kibbutz is one big botanical garden. To the left, can you see the building halfway down? Okay. Do you know what the persimmon is? Persimmon. Persimmon. You're probably referring to that orangey color fruit, right? You know that when it was introduced in Israel many years ago, they named it Chinese tomato? Yeah, I don't know why. But I remember the name because I said I couldn't eat it. Because for me, tomato is sour. We don't know what it was. It was definitely not that persimmon that you're thinking. But the research that is going on, the theory is that it looked to the side from north to east, from south, from east to west. But it's still, you can see how it's not part of the whole cliff. But you can see it already if you look to the right and you see this sort of diamond-shaped mountain. Can you see it? Did you recognize what I'm talking about? It's in front of us and to the right. Now keep looking, because as we are driving parallel, you'll see that the north edge, we're coming from the north, is shaped like 3 big steps. Those 3 steps are part of the northern palace, hanging palace of King Herod the Great. I've mentioned him before. First time we've talked about him is about the killing of the babies in Bethlehem under the age of 2. And he was a genius architect. All his energy, all his effort was taken, was put in building massive things. Who in his right mind going to build a palace 3 levels on the edge of a cliff? That's one thing. Second, he's got a a swimming pool. There is a bathhouse. But remember, we are in the desert. And just to give you a rough idea, and I'm not using correct numbers because that changes, of course. If it rains in Jerusalem 100 milliliters, down here it's less than a quarter. Of course, when it rains, like last week, when it rained heavily in Jerusalem for a whole day, these roads were closed because it was that tried to cross the road and got stuck. One of those tourist buses. He thought he would be brave and do it, but he got stuck. People are rushing to see the floods sometimes without understanding how dangerous it can be if you're not standing in a very safe place. All of that, having said that, going back to King Herod, one of the things he's learned the hard way is the fact that if you don't collect water, you won't be able to live there.